Over a decade ago, two guys by the name of Brett Carlisle and Orland Sorensen set out to establish once and for all what kind of barrel makes the best bourbon in the world. Not a small goal. After throwing budgets out the window, partnering with the barrel masterminds over at Independent Stave, and going through 8 different barrel types to play with, the final product is this, Woodinville's straight bourbon whiskey aged 8 years. Is this a surprise banger for the year 2024? I have not tasted this yet. I'm about to. Stay tuned. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, and help keep growing that channel as I try to make my way towards 100,000 subscribers here in 2024. Appreciate the support. So as I mentioned, there were 8 different barrel types to test before aging this bourbon. Now, the first 4 were a number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 char standard kiln drying barrel. Then a number 3 char 18-month open air season barrel, a number 5 char 18-month open air season barrel, a heavy toast light char 24-month open air season barrel, and then lastly, something called a thin stave barrel. Now, the whiskey standard today is usually a kiln dried barrel at a number 3 or number 4 char. Number 1 and number 2 are used a lot less, but has been gaining some popularity recently, and open air seasoning costs way more because it takes a lot more time than kiln drying. But in air seasoning, basically you're exposing the staves to sun, rain, snow, wind, and anything else in between. Now, this can do wonders for the staves by deteriorating wood polymers and creating smaller molecules that transform easier during charring and toasting. In short, it just makes better tasting whiskey. Okay, so after the 8 barrels were filled with new make, they waited 4.5 years. After that, Independent Stave analyzed the whiskey with the grass chromatograph, and the winner was the heavily toasted, lightly charred barrel that was open air seasoned for 24 months. Now, nerdy sounding components like furfural and vanillin are the delicious things that come out of a barrel that just basically make bourbon taste better. So as the story goes, after all that, there was still some slight graininess that was still found, so Brett and Orland decided to age it longer, 4 more years to be exact. So 2 years of stave aging, 4.5 years of the initial aging process, and then 4 more years in the barrel. That's 10.5 years of work, roughly. So a lot to go into this bottle. So there were only 30 barrels created for the Woodinville 8-year. It comes in with a mash bill of 55% corn, 35% rye, and 10% malted barley. It's bottled at 100 proof. It's a very limited offering with an SRP for about 80 bucks. All right, let's see what we get with this one. Again, I have not tasted this yet, but if you look at the color is pretty crazy. It's pretty dark for an 8-year bourbon. As I mentioned, the techniques are a little bit, I don't know, a little bit of a callback to what Michter's has been doing, but we'll see. It smells fantastic. This is burnt toffee, spice, hint of maple syrup. Actually, this is a lot of maple syrup. This is like straight up Mrs. Butterworth's in a glass. That's an interesting question, because me and my girlfriend, we will sit there and we'll kind of debate. I know it sounds funny, but we'll sit there and we'll debate pancake syrup. I like the natural, like, you know, Vermont, Canada, like the real rich, dark maple syrup. She prefers, I don't know, Mrs. Butterworth, Aunt Jemima, whatever you want to call it. She likes the sugary sweet stuff. So what say you, viewers? Let me know down in the chat. Do you like the all natural or you like all the sugar? Man, the nose on this I love. It very much reminds me of a Michter's a little bit, where you got these really intense sweet flavors, a ton of vanilla, a ton of maple syrup here, maybe a slight hint of, not really getting a lot of dark fruit. It's more like a vanilla custard, probably more of like a creme brulee type aspect to it, but it's really, really good. All right, let's hope it tastes as good as it smells. Here we go. All right, so a piece that I did not get on the nose, that I got on the palate, was a rye spice, a floral component. You get the, I mean, it's a high rye mash bill. I mean, you're looking at 35% rye here, so you're gonna get some rye spice. But the overall components of this is just very, but the overall experience is just very sweet. So the palate has this up front, has this burnt, smoky caramel note. It's very dark, it's very rich. I will also say that even though this is 100 proof, great texture here. It's not overly thin. This probably has a better texture to some higher proof bourbons that I've had recently. Really well done here. This is a nice departure from what we've gotten from Woodinville in the past, or the recent past. I will say Woodinville, I think, was real hot for a long time. Everybody was really into it. They kind of hit a little bit of a wall for me. Their stuff seemed to be not getting up in age, and the prices were getting higher. I've always respected Woodinville because of their grain to glass mentality, but I don't know, their stuff just kind of stopped hitting for me. And I don't know, this is a nice departure from that. Now, I know this is a different type of barrel makeup than they probably normally use, but man, that mash bill in this barrel, it's pretty good. Yeah, the rye grain, the more you sip this, comes to more the forefront, I think. It's not grainy. I'm not getting any of the graininess that sometimes you get with Woodinville. I think the rye spice is definitely there. Again, the floral component, but it's all wrapped up in like a roasty, dark chocolatey type of flavor profile. The spice is all in between. Tons of vanilla, tons of caramel. This is more on the sweet side. Not getting a ton of dark fruit here. This is really just chocolate, caramel, vanilla, spice, maybe a hint of toffee here. And there is one other component here. That's almost savory. I mean, maybe it's borderline root beer, sassafras, whatever you want to call it. But that's a really, really nice bourbon for 8 years old. This is a sneaky bourbon that I did not expect. Did not expect it to be this good. You know, again, with Woodinville, you just never know. Some of their finishes have been really hit or miss. It just depends, but I think the time they took to create this, it really paid off, because this is very rich, it's decadent, it's sweet, it's thick, it's spicy, has a great balance to it. I don't know, man, I'm all in on this, but I don't know how hard this is to find. I know it's limited, but just in case, let's do a quick final breakdown. All right, final breakdown here on the new Woodinville 8-year. SRP, supposedly about $80. As far as secondary market value, haven't even seen these yet, so I don't know what that looks like, if these will be kind of upcharged as we go down the line on the resale market. Availability, obviously it's gonna be extremely limited. Value here, I'm gonna say it's above average, because I think for 80, an 8-year bourbon from Woodinville at $80, now normally I would say this is even, but the flavors in here to me are so exaggerated and really sweet. I think it's a little bit above its price point. Most I'd pay here, I would probably go maybe up to 100, 110 to get this bourbon. Again, it's different than any other Woodinville I ever had. I think those rich, decadent flavors is something I really like. I mean, I'm not even saying it's overly sweet, just the richness of it is what sells me on it. Alternatives to this one. Man, this is tough. I mean, anything short of something that's double oaked, because that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like, it's very reminiscent a little bit of the Fox and Odin double oaked that I really enjoy. Maybe a little bit of the Sagamore double oaked. Even though this isn't double oaked, I'm just trying to think of, you know, profiles that remind me of this a little bit. And even if you like toasted bourbons, I think it kind of toes that line as well. So those would be my alternatives. And finally, is this a skip, a try before you buy, a buy, or buy and back it up? For me, this is a buy. This is delicious. I really enjoy it. However, I don't know if I'd overpay too much for it. I'm not sure what the market's going to do with this bottle. Being that it's Woodinville, not really sure how people are going to react to this one. However, this is very different than any other Woodinville I've ever had. That high rye mash bill with that heavy toast, the light char, just so much sweetness coming out. The 24-month season staves. I mean, everything just kind of fell into place and just makes this really sweet. I mean, I think Woodinville killed it with this one. So if you could find one, I say grab it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this review here on the Master and Drum for the new Woodinville 8-year. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, find me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen this one. Did you grab one at the distillery? Has it even released at the distillery yet? I think I did see a couple of online places that had this, but not sure if it's still available or not. Again, down in the comments, let me know if you like the natural maple syrup, or do you want just all the fake stuff with the high fructose corn syrup in the grocery store. Let me know what you think, and as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. I'll see you next time right here on the Master and Drum. We are back, baby. Cheers.